Hello, everyone. It feels like it's been a month. Yeah. So I just finished Critical Role Campaign 4, Season 3. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings. So let's go ahead and get into. I don't even know where to begin. This has been wild. So yeah, I do believe Valis is actually a paladin oath of vengeance based off the use of Hunter's Mark. But let's kind of dive into the everything of this episode, which was another bonkers cliffhanger. Brennan loves cliffhangers, probably more than even I do, but I'm obsessed with them. So let's see. Big highlights was the soldiers table was created. That was nuts, right? Tiora Prideshire. We got Thimble in there as well. We've got Tyranny. We've got Wickander, and we've got Kagan Vale with Robbie Damon all at the soldiers table. So that's our first table. We'll probably, I think, next episode we'll see the other two tables divide, and we'll figure out who's going to be on what table and why they're at those tables. That's my feeling. Um, this was kind of nuts to see. I love seeing the aftermath of Sam's character Wikander dealing with meeting his grandfather, and it's interesting. The grandfather, the blood was used in a wish spell to create his father, who is clearly turning into a celestial of some kind, and is apparently Wikander's father is also currently dying, and sprouted angel wings with feathers and the whole deal. So that cements the fact that I think Wikander is in fact a divine soul sorcerer. Because his very blood is celestial. His magic isn't coming from necessarily the magical tattoos and everything. He is a direct relation in a spell using celestial blood and creating a wish spell to cause an entity with his father to be born, and then his father having him as a son makes him a divine soul sorcerer. So that's what Sam's playing. I love having. Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I knew there would be some change-ups in terms of the soldiers' table, so having Wikander on the soldiers' table is a surprise, but I think it's going to make sense, especially if he goes. He's probably going to be kind of the dominant healer of the group, but that will be interesting. And I think that's going to be a good arc for a character like Wikander, right? Wikander is coming from a life of privilege, from non-combativeness, from not being boots on the ground, this very top 1%, right, type of character who's been sheltered his entire life. So going full on into being at the soldiers' table will be a good vibe. If the soldiers' table is what I think is, the soldiers' table is going to be seeing the most extreme, like I said, boots on the ground. Think about Spider-Man, right? Just street level fighting, the street level plot for everything. So it was wild to hear and find out that Wikander was sort of a blood relation, and also the creation of a wish spell ultimately. That was such a great revelation. What else was interesting? They detailed. I mean, this is very kind of. It reminds me of games like Dishonored and stuff like that in terms of like the manipulation of the celestial blood. Them actually needing to get some other type of land they wanted to acquire so they could use a chemical process to be able to stretch that magical nature of the blood so they can make a great deal more of that that liquid to basically farm out to the rest of the world. It was very interesting. So we also got big drops. Like, oh boy, this was a long episode, so there's a lot of lore drops. The demons were actually actively working to manipulate events on behalf of getting that kind of celestial magic, and also getting souls from Wikander's family. Two really terrible families in this show. Well, three really. All three families, awful, awful, awful people. Wikander's family, Davos's family, clearly Alexander Ward's character's family, all evil beyond belief. So yeah, some kind of celestial madness is going on from long-term use of that chemical as well is really interesting. Yeah, I think Robbie's got some big drops. I think Robbie has put a lot of thought and care to his character, and we will see that unfold over time. So I loved the back and forth between Tyranny and Wikander. Again, Sam and Whitney are absolutely killing it. I'm going to go ahead and put up the slideshow, if that's okay. So they were absolutely killing it. Again, the acting back and forth and her concern for him, and the fact that he rolled into their own establishment with such arrogance and silliness and almost failing his deception and persuasion checks to save Prideshire was hilarious. I thought that back and forth. We like to have fun, don't we? Like, there are some truly tense but truly hilarious moments. Also, we got our combat for the first time. Laura Bailey not doing so good at the combat, but the threatening a man's balls and then also hiding inside his pants, and because of the 14, it stinks down there inside the pants was brilliant, hilarious, great role playing. I felt bad for Laura Bailey having so many awful combat roles, and then to have Valis just kind of like pop in there and just absolutely murder folks was really, really fantastic. I love that we were also getting, so what else? Yeah, well, you mentioned Davanos. So the fact that Davanos is cursed, but also something weirder and darker, the fact that their shadow is even darker, became very interesting. And what a, man, came out swinging for that beginning with the combat. There are a couple of clear house rules happening because we don't really use in D&D. I don't think we actually have flanking anymore. We had it in 4th and 3rd edition. I don't think we have flanking rules in 5th edition. So not that I've ever used, but we still kind of instinctually try to do that. And the other thing is sneak attack for a rogue in 2024 requires, and also 2014 requires that you have a finesse or ranged weapon. You can't actually use your hands for sneak attack. Though I like Brennan's take on it, actually. I like the idea of a rogue that can like sucker punch you and get sneak attack on that. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's fun. But typically rogues don't get to do that. So them attacking them with punches and stuff like that and still getting sneak attack damage isn't technically the rules, but this is Brendan's table. And I think I like it thematically even better. It doesn't break the game in any way, and we've seen plenty of times where rogues pull that same kind of instant one knock punch. So I think that makes sense. So what else happened? Sorry, I'm still processing it because I had to finish it just now in bits. So we've got the new table. First combat was bonkers. We've got the soldiers table. Davos's dad just got absolutely ripped. Just got his skull and his spinal column torn right out of his body. Lots of death, lots of horror. The fact, and now we are seeing this connection again. The Underworld matters so much increasingly in episode 3. We've got multiple portals or multiple artifacts that specifically have to deal with going to the realm of the dead. Really 2 or 3. Because, and I didn't catch this, so forgive me, the last orb, the black orb with the wings, has that been named? That's not the elven one. But the fact that they're going to insert that into someone is disturbing. I also like the idea that Prideshire was going to have, that Taylor's shadow was getting clipped. That was such a brilliant scene, and that they were so grisly and Undertaker-y about this process, and that this was a process, that they have done this so many times. So them shredding his shadow and cutting it up into pieces might render him, theoretically, into becoming undead, I think, at this point. That's my read on it, is that Prideshire almost became undead in that process. And that they have done this so many, many, many times. And maybe that's how they're feeding also the demons and stuff, and part of whatever demonic arrangement that the Wikander's family has with them. So yeah, I was thinking that orb with the wings was actually the Stone of the Night song, but it wasn't immediately clear to me. So, So I felt like they were turning Prideshire into an undead with that process, that they have weaponized this and turned it into a simple process where they send people to do it. Um, that was fascinating. And it kind of reminds me of the daemons in the Golden Compass, right? Yeah, Golden Compass has daemons. You have a daemon, which is essentially you have a familiar, and if that connection with the familiar gets severed, you kind of become this kind of lifeless husk of a human. Like you don't even have a personality. So I feel like that's a little bit what Brendan's kind of tapping into, is a little bit of the Golden Compass, because spoiler alerts, at some point someone does have their familiar severed from them, so the connection between them and their familiar or their daemon, and it renders them kind of without a soul or personalities. How that world works in the Golden Compass, I feel like shadows work very similarly in this regard as well, but I could be wrong. I'm just theorizing how undeath works. So what else do we know? I should have taken notes, but I was in my car. So, combat was very rough for Laura Bailey. I feel like this is clearly this 4-episode arc is coming to an end. So episode 4 is where we'll probably form the next 2 tables, and everyone will be after them at this point. Every house, everyone in power will be actively trying to kill them. It was pretty amazing that Wikander already went so deeply against his family by getting Prideshire out of that situation that, I mean, he's burnt already. That's one family. His entire family's going to come after him. For Davos, his father just got wholesale murdered. And clearly for Alex Ward's character, going back home isn't an option there. They've gone full uber dark evil. I do love the idea that the theater, which used to be a temple to the orcish god of suffering and pain, has become, like Shakespeare's Globe Theater. I think that's kind of brilliant. Camera. I feel like I'm keep on trying to move out of the camera shot. But boy, is so important on death. And again, I have to wonder where Thjazi is right now. Thjazi. I feel like they're gonna pop up again, but I could oh yeah, Murray almost got wholesale murder too. Yeah, I love Murray. Murray's such a great character and brings we need that kind of comic relief in a show, especially this dark. And I will say, these 3 episodes are amongst my favorite Critical Role episodes, and in many ways, I love these characters and these tables. It's a little hard of a watch sometimes because of how dark it is, and there is, as Brendan said, totally no allegory going on in this show. So some of this stuff is hitting a little too close to home. So any comedy coming from Marisha Ray and frankly Thimble is much needed. So yeah, I definitely want to see more of Belair. Belair is really fun. I love. I forget what they made fun of him for working in a museum. I thought that was pretty funny. In terms of toughness. Yeah, they're gonna have to run for their lives. Everyone's gonna have to run for the North. So, it was interesting to get a little bit more information to Davos. That interaction with Thimble was interesting. Thimble just getting captured, like the easiest character to capture for a rogue who's supposed to be slippery AF. Boy, Thimble is easy to throw into a bag. Still, yeah, I'm still really curious what is going on with Cag and Gale. Octus is burnt for his family. Clearly, his family's just going to wholesale murder him, or something's. I mean, his family is just completely a dark side already. So I'm curious how much further this goes. Yeah, I think we do need some more backstory on Belair, but it's fascinating. I also love the interaction with the older orc in the actual theater itself was hilarious and remarkable. Yeah, I think the schemers may stay in the city, and they'll have to be schemers to survive. Otherwise, the city is clearly not safe for any of them. So That's a good point. Yeah, so one group will probably stay in the city. One will head north. Maybe that's where all the combat is going on. And then the Seekers may not even be in this realm. They may be in the Shadowfell, or wherever Brennan's version of the Shadowfell is, or kind of halfway point between, death and the real world. It's interesting that the two castles, one is dying because it's very Fey-oriented, very Feywild, kind of between the two places, the fairy realm and the Primaterial plane. So that castle is dying, and that also the Shadowfell castle, essentially, is growing more and more powerful as time goes on. And if anyone has any questions, a good way to alert and support the channel is super chats. Those are super helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. I can't get enough of Murray and Talison's character. I hope they should end up at the same table. I assume they're going to be Seekers. That's just my kind of perspective on those two characters. They're the investigators. They're kind of... He's figuring out what the magical artifacts are. She can delve into other arcane secrets. So... I love that people are suspicious of Travis's character yet again. So I'm eager to see. He's playing pretty goody two shoes right now, so I wonder where else we're going on this. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah, maybe they're going to sacrifice Octus and turn him into some type of undead lich. Yeah, I could see that. Do you think we'll get a proper hex or a dungeon crawl this campaign? Yeah, I do. Bolaire could be a schemer. That's true. I felt that he could be seeker or schemer. I can totally see both. Yeah, Bolaire and Murray are the buddy cop show we all need. I would love them. That would be a funny one shot, just a 2-person one shot with one dungeon master. I think would be pretty damn hilarious. I do think Ashley's character is in fact now. I think it's all but confirmed. I don't think there's any other paladin in 2024 that actually gets Hunter's Mark. So that would be an Oath of Vengeance paladin. I love how we're doubling down on how ancient Valus is. So I think that's confirmed. And if they're an Oath of Vengeance paladin, then I was wrong about Travis's character. So he might be an Oathbreaker paladin in disguise this entire time. Yeah, Murray and Azun in the alley was hilarious. It's an interesting thing. So yeah, we talk about Valus, and this is something that is always a hard thing to tackle. So I've played characters that were much older than before. I played the same character since I was 8, who was named Avern. But I always have him level up, and then his curse is that he has to level down. So he'll get up to 20th level, and then suddenly he'll get a horrible magical accident or something will happen. He loses all his levels. It may be that Valus, even though it being an ancient elf, had been injured in some way that brought them effectively down to level 3. They have the severe scarring. Imagine being effectively immortal, but like you just keep on getting scar tissue and scar tissue and scar tissue from combat and fights and wars. You lose an ear. All this stuff is happening over 1,000 years. It's kind of like Death Becomes Her, right? Like you're just coming out of this looking a little rough. So something might have happened to their magic, or maybe they wholesale lost a large portion of their magic when the gods fell. So Valus, 70 years ago, may have been level 20, right? But maybe the source of their divine power was, her god, and when her god died, she lost that source of power. So could have been a 20th level character 70 years ago, and now is 3rd. I think that makes perfect sense. I think we might have a homebrew paladin subclass out there, and that might be Travis's character. Hard to say. I feel like I don't have a good sense of Robbie's character, and there was a video talking about people who put the most work into their character backstory. We have not seen a lot of Robbie Damon's character as Kagan Vale. He may have a specialized ranger for all we know. Given that he put so much thought into his character, maybe he requested something specific or unique. Though I do feel like Travis often asks for something very specific and unique. You know, being a werewolf gnome is rather specific, so he could have easily asked for his own subclass as well. I could see it. People are saying Belair, Murray, Hal, Azun. Yeah, I could see them in the same party for sure. This plot is moving. I mean, it was a long episode. It was, it's almost 5 hours. Didn't feel like 5 hours. This one, I felt like this one had a great pacing to it, and it was moving along. I'm really invested in this story. I think Brennan's absolutely killing it, and clearly everyone put a lot of thought into stuff. It'll be interesting starting episode 4 with, Matt Mercer's reaction for his character, Davos, to his father's death. Boy, does that kick things off. Every episode is starting off swinging and also ending on a hell of a note. I'm curious if he can keep it up. So the Divine Soul Sorcerer was introduced in 2014. It was very specifically from, I believe, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I could be wrong. So because it's been a minute, but so Xanathar's Guide to Everything should have the Divine Soul Sorcerer. That was not in the 2024 rules, but they're compatible. And also, it's very likely Jeremy Crawford actually updated the Divine Soul Sorcerer for the 2024 core rules. That wouldn't be a hard stretch. And for those that don't know, Divine Soul Sorcerers essentially are, they have access to all the healing magic that clerics do as Divine Soul Sorcerers. They're often disruptive to any kind of very religious, settings, or religious organizations might find those characters to be a threat, because clerics can be quite precious about healing magic just by design. So they might feel threatened by a character who is the source of divine magic rather than praying for it. Sorry, reading through chat right now to answer any questions people have. Thank you so much. It's amazing. We got 220 people back. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining. And Sarah, I'd like to start these a little earlier in the day. I don't know what time of the day works best for all of you. I find it sometimes best for me to watch through the episode at 1.5 speed, where I can. I love playing characters. Hey, I love playing characters who were once powerful and then tossed out. I played Artificer in the same way, an Artificer Armor who was like a 20th level wizard, but then they, basically a council stole his magic from him, and then he had to learn to make armor to supplement the abilities he used to have. I had a Jedi character kind of the same way in Star Wars, where he was actually from another galaxy and had force powers, but his force powers were ripped from him, so he had powered armor to kind of supplement the fact that he had his magic taken from him. This is a very similar plotline also to kind of like Revan in Knights of the Old Republic. Revan was a powerful Jedi Knight who went dark side, and he had his magic taken from him as well as his memories. Spoiler alerts, this game's been out for 1 billion years, so if you don't know the plot, that's on you. But you are leveling up as Revan, and it's a great conceit for a story. Reading through chat right now. Yeah, I can see Taliesin's character being homebrewed for sure. I see no evidence. I'm keeping track of the spells that people are using. So the reason that we think Ashley Johnson is playing a Vengeance Paladin is just based off everything about Ashley Johnson's character Valus, and also the use of Hunter's Mark is usually reserved for Rangers, but Oath of Vengeance Paladins are very much Hunters, and they have access to the spell Hunter's Mark, so that would be the most likely. Yeah, I think Matt might be playing an adapted swashbuckler rogue. I think that would make a lot of sense for his character. This time feels just about right. People are coming off of the Twitch rebroadcast. Okay, all right, good to know. Yeah, and it gives me time. Well, I didn't have time today because I was wandering around having to take care of things, but I didn't have a ton of time to kind of deconstruct everything in my head. Yeah, Taliesin does like homebrew for sure. Whew, those sundered Hausers. Boy, everyone's family life is crap, except for. I mean, I guess technically Fang, but Fang just lost a brother. But Fang's brother might be, and Fang's brother may end up being the ultimate evil in this universe. Who knows? We'll have to see. We're on episode 3, so love the imagery of having the skull pulled out, not metaphysically, but like ethereally, and then like plopped onto the floor is absolutely nuts. Uh, I don't have room for polls to like figure out what everyone's character. Who is the MVP? Do you think of this episode? I think that's always a good question to ask of any episode. Um, God, who is my favorite character of this episode? That is actually quite a hard question. I think I think it was Wakander for me. I think Wakander was absolutely hilarious, and the fact that Wakander has gone from "oh, my family is absolutely crazy," and then helps bust out Prideshire, and then is still snotty to Tierney is just mind blowing and hilarious. And the fact that he goes right to trying to uh, use his authority still, it was just such a yeah. Tierney and Wick together are another buddy cop kind of dynamic that I'm absolutely in love with. Yeah, I think Wakander and the combination of Tierney and Wakander, plus God, so much of a demon lore drop that was absurd. Um, yeah, Valus was killing it though. I mean, literally, Valus was killing it mechanically. Also, you all have to roll better. Uh, is Ashley Johnson the only one capable of getting a good roll? Uh, just what a slaughter this episode was. I think eventually people start getting a 20 here and there, but that was just kindness. Um, I honestly thought someone was going to die in the first scene of in the first set of combat. That's a lot of rogues that can get stabs on you. Oh, King the Fest was so funny. And again, that line of "we like to have fun, don't we?" That was so charming. Um, yeah, I would expect that with the theater troupe and everything else. Does Fang really want to leave the city? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you would think Tyranny. Do we know officially what Tyranny is playing? Sorry, I don't remember seeing. It's a warlock, right? I'm assuming fiend warlock, but yeah, the flanking rules we don't really use those anymore. But I mean, I don't mind them, and it's if you've been playing D&D as long as all of us have, you just kind of forget that things aren't rules, or you just like to keep them. And hey, flanking rules are great. Getting advantage like that, but that's largely reserved for rogues. If they're within 5 feet of an ally, they can get their sneak attack off. So that's kind of like feels like a remnant of sort of flanking. Yeah, warlock is confirmed, so probably fiendish warlock. I would expect. Though celestial would be nuts if she was getting her power from that. That would be weird, but I sincerely doubt it. It's probably fiendish. Yeah, I could use some more humor. I love these 3 episodes. That's just because of the state of the world, frankly. I think we got so much dark television out there. We got so much dark, gritty television. It's kind of why I enjoyed Superman so much. Honestly, I just needed like a happy show. That's not a diss on the campaign in any way. I think the campaign is brilliant, and that makes the humorous moments even brighter. I feel like I'm missing a lot of funny moments that happened in the show that were absolutely bangers. Uh, it was really coming at us hot and fast, and you get the sense of, okay, now we're in it. Now we're in the danger. Like the dark times, the dangerous times have in fact begun. It was a rough first combat. I'm worried about Thimble's survivability at this point. Lord Bailey's just got cursed dice. Um, It'll be funny when she gets off a couple murders, though, playing a fairy. Yeah, I've been dealing with this quite a lot with so with media and kind of like the dreariness of everything, plus me being laid off. I'm finding I can't be watching a show like Peaky Blinders, right? I actually watched 3 seasons of Penny Dreadful, and that probably wasn't the best thing for my mental state this week. I'm a huge fan of Penny Dreadful, but whew, boy, if you love suffering and pain, Penny Dreadful's your show, and gothy stuff. Yeah, flanking's okay. I don't have opinion on flanking. Do I think this is going to be a rebellious against? Do you think this is going to be another rebellious rebellion against the household houses? Yeah, I do think this is going to be another rebellion. I think they're also calling into question if the gods were ever really gods. Brent, one of the characters for Brennan, brought this up, but that might have been almost like kind of a fourth wall breaking, looking at the internet kind of comment that NPC made of. I believe it's from Wakanda's actually grandmother who said, like, well, were they even gods at all if they can be killed? Likely not. And God, what a speech. What a villain speech from Wakanda's grandma. That was brilliant. It kind of reminded me of Alfie Solomons from Peaky Blinders, actually. This kind of like running on monologue, dissecting kind of the reality of the situation. October isn't necessarily uplifting, especially in Seattle. It gets so dark here. I love Halloween. I got married on Halloween, actually. So I'm a fan of spooky season. Um, but you have to choose your spooky for sure. So yeah, Wick's grandma is probably my favorite NPC that we've run into so far. To be frank. Let me go ahead. Gonna check if there's anything I'm really missing. God, I really felt like this was such a huge lore dump of information. Campaign. Oh, they did accidentally reveal someone was a sorcerer on the whiteboard. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, the the Technosis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Technosis. Yeah, they're just murdering people, ghouls and wraiths and specters. They are. I mean, beyond necromancer. They are full necromancer. So it's funny to see Octavius be such a like kind of a sweet kid, coming out of a necromancer family like that is pretty shocking. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna see that the new table, the other two tables as of next episode, because they said that these 4 episodes are kind of like the pre episodes for what will be the entire West Marches type campaign. So episode 4 is the last time we're probably going to see everyone together at the same time, theoretically, though they can easily be cutting back and forth for dramatic irony's sake. So boy, the Crow Keepers are jerks. Yeah, that was interesting. Crow Keepers also got their butts kicked. It's too bad. I love crows. I always hate seeing. anything crow associated being the villain makes me a little sad. I have a murder of crows that I feed in our neighborhood, so they follow me around and stuff. Yanessa said his son was a gift from the angel. I bet withholding some disturbing specifics about that too. Oh, I don't remember that. Yanessa says, yeah, it feels like a lot of the magic in this campaign is all sorcerer bloodlines. Yeah, Wick is definitely a sorcerer. There's no other way around it. It'd be a weird choice otherwise. Yeah. Oh, Yanessa was her name. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Casting a wish spell with celestial blood, creating his father was nuts. That whole... His family... Woof. I don't even know how to unpack how messed up that family is. We might not see the soldiers' table. No. Wait. Was Matt's character in the soldiers' table? He wasn't. No. Well, okay, yeah. Davos is not part of the soldiers' table, so he'll be part of the schemers, I assume. No. I believe Wakander's father was created using celestial blood and casting a wish spell. And that is why Wakander's father is now sprouting wings and is a complete and utter mess at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of issues there with Wakander's family. I can't wait to get a giant board of just the madness of plotline that's happening here. Yeah, the tables could change it up. That's true. People might not permanently stay on the soldiers' table. Or the seekers' table. They could change it up. That's a good point. You think Matt's going to be a seeker? Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out next week. It's hard for me to guess. Wild magic is so quirky. I've seen no evidence of anyone in this group having wild magic. It's very easy in 2024 to have a wild magic surge happen, and you'll know it when they do. So, yeah, clockwork. Yeah, okay. Oh, cooldown says soldiers are off next week. Okay, yeah. Well, that makes sense. We're going to get into the Davos storyline for sure. Even heavier, so... Soldiers' table is released. That'll give us a little bit more room for the second two tables to diverge. That'll be interesting. And... I still think it could be that one table does stay in the city. Just living underground. Though, they've already pissed off the underworld element of the entire city, so I don't know how they can necessarily operate. They don't have the infrastructure to survive within the city. So I think in Dol Makjar, they have to leave. And go to a different city. I'm assuming... But then we've done all this kind of establishing of environments within the city. It'd be kind of sad to move on to another one, but, you know, makes a lot of sense. Very Tolkien-esque. Yeah, it's hard to figure out right now. And because I love the idea of Wikander actually being at the soldiers' table, I think we're going to see some other surprises as well that will be impossible to predict. Yeah, Julian's curse is interesting. This keeps on the darkness, the shadow following him at the funeral. His anger, his rage. He's been cursed. A darker shadow than normal. There's something there. I cannot even begin to guess what that is. Yeah, the schemers could very well stay in the city. This is a real hard place for them to survive, so they have to find some type of kind of underground movement Do we have anything like that in the city at this moment that's even been referenced where they can survive? It's just that they've established all these locations and these villains so well. Be a bummer to leave that behind. Yeah, Wick being amongst soldiers, out in the mud, in the dirt, living in a tent is going to be endlessly funny. And I still think Thjazi may have cursed him, yeah. That's true. Yunis is I think that's like my favorite NPC in the game so far. What an evil character. Again, reminds me of Alfie Solomons from Peaky Blinders. You should check that out. And just look up Alfie Solomon monologue from Peaky Blinders. It was often kind of stuff like that. Pre-rapid fire lore drops. Yeah, that's true. Murray is pretty well connected. And Murray has a lot of investment not to leave, especially considering everything that's being done to the wizarding school. With the episode before this, where the school is basically being taken over by fascists, was just really upsetting. Yeah, I don't know how they're handling the Drow civilization or Dark Elves. It may be something completely different in this. Because in the Forgotten Realms, Dark Elves are so very, very specific and tied to the lore. I think they deviate quite a bit in this. Did I talk about the metal? Oh, yeah. So I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know this comic because, like, I might have missed something because that happens when you have a 5-hour show. Did you talk about the metal? So I'm aware of the metal and how they were mining it. The orcs found the metal in the ground that was capable of murdering the gods, but I don't think that's what you're talking. Metal as hell. Oh, did you talk about how metal as hell the murder of Julian's father was? Sorry. I misinterpreted chat completely. Yes, we did talk about how completely metal that was. That was absolutely absurd. What an ending. Just pulling someone's spectral skull and spinal column out was... and I love how the head just kind of deflated. What an evocative way to murder. I don't know how they're getting out of that situation. But that's... well, we don't have to worry about Davos's father anymore. Jesus. I think episode 4 is going to start a little bit dark. Valus is purple, so implies being a drow or a dark elf. So, and they've got white hair at the same point. They might not be functionally a dark elf in any way, but you know, it's a little bit odd to go that far in that direction. Then again, we have a character who's playing a demon, not a devil, not a tiefling, but a demon. And again, I feel like I called it in my interview with Whitney. The vibe off that character art was kind of very Has-Been Hotel. And I feel like Whitney's character is... And she could be playing a long con about being evil. She could be... Whitney's character, Tyranny, could in fact be like the head demon itself, right? At the end of 20 levels in 3 years, the long con could be pretending to be a demon that actually cares and is manipulating things from within. But right now I'm getting kind of Has-Been Hotel, trying to save all souls, all demons kind of vibes. So that's kind of my impression of Tyranny right now. If you haven't seen Has-Been Hotel, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty remarkable, actually. So, am I missing anything, chat? Chat, is there anything we haven't covered or talked about? Oh, I keep on calling Matt's character Davos. I need to stop doing that. Sorry. Yeah. The Davos house might be playing the longest of games, but things aren't looking so great. Yeah, that was definitely a full Mortal Kombat fatality for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of, well, Brennan loves bird stuff. We've got in the very symbol for campaign 4, we've got 2 birds, one above, one below. There may be kind of a theme. Yeah, each table may get a bird, or there may be 2 competing birds and kind of the theme of everything. Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. Octus asking when he was talking to the lady in the guest room if he was asking about Valus. I don't know. Chickens are the schemers. Crows would be the schemers. Today a crow. So our crows are actively trying to get us to crack open walnuts for them and things like that. So they'll leave stuff for our cars to roll over. One of the crows isn't fantastic at this. He's now like leaving them on top of my car for me to crack him. So like to take a hammer and to crack open a walnut for him. So they're leaving walnuts on my actual car for me to crack for them. Instead of having them placed, which the other crows are doing, they're placing them behind our cars so that they get cracked by our tires when we leave. So that's how my day is. I just got crows leaving stuff for me. The weird. I have a crow story, and this is the weirdest thing you're gonna hear. So I kept on feeding the crows, and now they follow me everywhere, and they caw, and they group up when they see me. And this one day, I just kind of amassed a complete storm of crows, right? This massive murder of crows. And I'm feeding them, and I decide to go for a walk. And so I'm feeding them peanuts as I go. But I start heading down this hill, and I'm dressed all in black. It's kind of a cloudy day, and this couple comes around the corner of the street, and they see this 6'5" man, all in black, with this floating murder of crows following him above, tapping on rooftops, banging trees, breaking branches, and they just turned around. This couple had a baby in a carriage. It was just like, I must look like something for the scariest movie I'd ever seen. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be the schemer group right now. I feel like Matt's character is going to be a schemer. I don't think he'll be a seeker, but I could be wrong. Though it'd be weird to see Marisha and Matt not play together in a game. Right? So he could be a seeker just based off that alone. Thimble is part of the soldiers table. That makes sense. And Wikander's part of the soldiers table, which is going to be funny and hilarious. That's true. Alex Ward, I think, will be definitely a seeker. But again, we're just changing things up. We know Tior is a soldier. I think any one of these characters could bounce around a little bit. Or be a go-between. I think, well, Luis could be a seeker. He's just gotta dip into sorcerer, right? I think very likely Handel will be a schemer. Is there anything we didn't cover? Anyone? Everyone in chat? Anything we didn't actually delve into? I feel like we've kind of hit all of it. So really eventful episode. Really love the energy of this. I think things are going to really pop off in episode 4, which is as planned. And then we'll see all the tables kind of diverge. Just checking chat. No, it's not been... it hasn't been officially... The only official table is the soldiers. That's the only one we know for sure. Yeah, and Tayor's in there, right? Yeah, Tayor's on the soldiers table. Because honestly, you and what, like... I don't see Laura and Travis not being on the same table. I also don't really see Matt and Marisha not being at the same table, but possibly. But that would mean, I think, more likely that he'd be a seeker. Or honestly, I could see Marie not leaving the city and becoming a schemer as well. Just reading chat. Clearly, the undead and the Shadowfell and the effect of the fairy realm is extremely important to this entire show. So, yeah, I can't wait to see this show animated as well. That's got to be metal. I wonder if Brennan's kind of keeping that in mind. I did ask him that question. Like every story and every description that you're making may eventually get animated years from now. So having evocative descriptions, I knowing that as a dungeon master, it would be difficult for me not to describe things as if it was not in an anime. So kind of the uniqueness of that angel design, when you're describing these monsters, you are really giving kind of footnotes to an animation studio years in advance of how you want this angel, this celestial creature to look, with all of its many teeth and its bat wings and all of that specifics. This is going to be a really cool show to see animated. Well, I believe I've answered everyone's questions. We'll be back next Friday to break down the show. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want to see more. I may boil these down into like more concise videos as well, so that people don't have to watch our full hour live stream. But these help. It just kind of helps get my impressions and my thoughts out, why they're still fresh in my mind. But it was another fantastic episode. Brennan's absolutely killing it. That table's got to roll better, or else they will die. Or it'll just become Ashley Johnson who lives. But yeah, this show's going to be amazing animated. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for everyone for piling into chat. 210 viewers live is absolutely insane. So I really appreciate all of you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do super chats, or join our Patreon page, which makes videos like this possible. That helps keep the channel afloat. Or honestly, if you don't have the cash, you don't have. If you don't have the cash, you don't. I don't. So I know the feeling. So you just being here as a viewer is more than enough. The fact that anyone wants to spend time and just hang out and talk about Critical Role for an hour is absolutely amazing. So I love all of you. I hope everyone's going to have a great weekend and have a fantastic day. Be kind to each other, and you need your own cool down. So be healthy. And have a fantastic day. Bye.